who often rise high but suddenly slides low. They glorify themselves for their own light and wisdom and gift, rejoicing for the self-sake, for the glories that have fallen upon them, but they are cowards. Verse 26. Nevertheless, the Creator created a great man amongst these, and such is the unbelieving man. He hath neither gold nor silver, nor house nor land, and he is without spiritual sight or spiritual hearing, but his glory is in understanding his own understanding. Verse 27. He it is that subdueth the forest and tames the beasts of the field to man's service. He goeth alone in the dark, faring not. He followeth not the course of any man, but search for himself. The priest cannot make him believe, nor can the angels of heaven. None can subdue his judgment. He beholds the glory of the earth and of manhood. He calleth to the multitude, saying, Why permit ye others, even priests, to think for you? Arise, O thou, and be a man. Arise, thou, and be a woman. Verse 28. He inspires of the earth and for the earth. Through his arms are tyrants and evil kings overthrown. Through him are doctrines and religions sifted to the bottom, and the falsehood and evil in them cast out. Yeah, who but Obaz could have created so great a man as the unbeliever? Verse 29. And these two men, the faithless and the unbeliever, do mostly all the good that is done in the world. The one laboreth at the top of the hill, calling upward, and the other labors at the bottom of the hill, pushing upward. God's first book, chapter 20, verse 1 through 25. On the next morning at sunrise, Omar spoke again through Brahma, and Vedi wrote down the words, and on the succeeding morning in like manner, so continued for 40 days. And in 40 days, behold, the Veda was complete. The holy words of Brahma were written. Verse 2. God said to Brahma, Go now and preach my gospel unto whoever will hear, proclaiming liberty to all who will follow thee. I will be with thee to the end, and thou shalt take Utiv thy wife, and all thy sons with thee, even Hog, the youngest born. Verse 3. So Brahma went forth preaching by day, and exhibiting the spirits of the dead by night. But to the chosen he spoke at dawn, in the early morning, the time the all light was upon him. And his sons also preached and explained. And Utiv explained to all women how it was with her when pregnant with her sons. Only Hog preached not, neither opened his mouth before the populace as to his unbelief. In the soul he says, These things must be true, and if they be true, it is well. If they be not true, still the believing of them by the populace worketh righteousness and goodness. With all my philosophy I cannot move the multitude to righteousness, but my Father makes them as a flock of sheep. They cease from evil, and they practice good fellowship. Therefore I will stand by my Father to the end. Verse 4. When Brahma came near a city, he halted outside the walls, that according to the law, the kings could not stay his voice. And the multitude came out of the city to hear him, and many returned not, but remained with Brahma and his sons in their camp. And when Brahma moved to another city, they went with him. And in a little while the hosts of Brahma were as an army of 1,000. Verse 5. And not a few of them were men and women of wealth, and they cast their treasures at Brahma's feet, saying, Take thou this trash, and give me of everlasting life instead. But men of learning came not to Brahma, neither came the priests, nor kings, nor magicians, nor consulters of oracles. Verse 6. God said, Take thy host, and establish them in families of 10s, and of 20s, and of 100s, and of 1000s, and give thou a head father unto each and every family, and thy people shall be a people unto themselves, having nothing in common with the king's people. Verse 7. Behold, my angels will go with thee, and show the wastelands, such as king's people desire not, and thou and thy people shall possess the lands, and dwell together in love and wisdom, doing all good to one another. Verse 8. So Brahma did as commanded, and he established the mountains of Roam, and the valleys in the mountains of Roam, and his people dwelt there in all 6,820 men, women, and children. Verse 9. And there came to Brahma a certain captain general of the army of King Sayata of the west kingdom of India, where lay the city of Gausihungamaramas. of 1,000,000 inhabitants. And he said unto Brahma, verse 10, In the name of the king, mightiest of men, Sayata, am I before thee, O Brahma. Behold, the king sendeth thee gold and silver and copper, saying, Brahma is good. Brahma shall give me the blessings of heaven. Verse 11, Brahma answered the captain general, saying, Brahma salute the king, mightiest of men, Sayata, in the name of Omaz, the creator in love. And in these wise words that comes to the soul of Brahma, Brahma sendeth the king's servant, even the captain general, back to the king with his gold, silver, and copper, saying, Deal thou with thy creator, and not with men. The great spirit holds all blessings in his own hands. Give him thy treasures. Verse 12. The captain general departed and returned with his gold, silver, and copper to the king, and told the king Brahma's words. The king was pleased with the wisdom of Brahma, but withal felt revolt and sore at heart. So Omar suffered Satan to possess the king for a season, and the king resolved to destroy Brahma and all his people. And he commanded the captain general to assemble together 50,000 men with arms ready for battle. And when they were thus prepared and started on their journey, which would require 7 days, the king bethought him to inquire of the oracles as to his best mode of success. Verse 13. Now the angel of God had taken possession of the oracle, and yet the Magi knew it not, nor did Sayata. So the king came before the sand table, and the spirit wrote these words, He who hath become one with Omaz is mightier than an army. Take off thy crown, O king, mightiest of men, and thy golden robes, and all that is fine and fair to look upon, and clothe thyself in the poorest of garments, even as a drunk that wanders about. But thy crown and thy costly robe, and thy raiment, fine and fair to look upon, put upon thy body servant, and ye twain shall go in advance of the army, even before Brahma. Verse 14. And thou shalt witness that man who profess to labor for the poor will fall on his belly before the man of riches and power. And behold, O king, thou shalt feel justified in destroying him that falleth before the crown and robes, knowing he is a hypocrite. Verse 15. The king was pleased with this, and he fulfilled all that was commanded of the oracle. When he came near Brahma's camp, a man came before the king's servant, saying, Behold, O king, command me as thou wilt. And he prostrated himself on the ground before the king's servant. Whereupon the king, dressed as a drunk, came to him and said, Who art thou? And the man answered, Begone, beggar, my matter is with the king. For he mistook which was which. Verse 16. The king ordered the man to be seized and taken away and put to death. And the advance guard fell upon the man and slew him with war clubs. And when the man was quite dead, behold, Brahma came, and the king nor none of his advance guards knew him. And Vas and Reish were with their father. And the three came and stood by the dead man. And Brahma then took the king's hand, saying, Thou that art in the garb of the drunk, come hither, for thou hast flesh and blood unto holiness. Lay thou one hand on the dead man, and put thy other hand on my head, for I will prove Omaz before thy eyes. Behold, thou who hast tried to kill Brahma, killed another man, another person. Verse 17. And when the king's hands were placed, Brahma stood by the head of the dead man, and his two sons by the heart. And Brahma said, In thy name, O Omaz, and by thy power in me, return thou to life, O man, and arise, arise, arise. Verse 18. And behold, the man was brought to life, and rose up and stood before the multitude. Verse 19. The king trembled with fear, and the guard stood back amazed. And as for the servant arrayed in the king's garb, he cast aside the crown and robe and fled into the forest. Verse 20. Brahma said unto the king, Here standeth the angel of Omaz. And the angel saith, Thou art the king in disguise. And moreover, that he, the angel, commanded thee here for this purpose, saying to thee in the oracle, He that hath become one with Omaz is mightier than an army. Verse 21. The king said, This is true. I swear before thee, O Omaz, henceforth I will wear such garbs as these I have on, and my life shall be given to thy service. Let who will take my kingdom, and all I called mine. Verse 22. So Sayata joined Brahma's host, And with Sayata came his brothers and their sons and daughters, and those that came cast into a heap whatsoever good or money they had, and the head fathers of the families divided and distributed the same according to the best